Well, it's a great pleasure for me to give the floor to the Mayor of Mazara, Vallo. You have the floor.
Grazie Mario, buonasera.
Thank you, Mario. Good evening. It's a great honor for me to be here this afternoon taking part in the second conference on NECA, and I'm very proud to speak for the citizens and fishermen of Mazara del Vallo to this important event. I'd like to greet all the political authorities who are present and everyone else as well. Mazara is a town with 5,000 inhabitants, and it's the town that's closest to Africa. Many of us say that if we fall asleep on a small boat, we may well wake up in Africa. And our town has always been very proactive in terms of fishing. We have one of the most significant fishing fleets in the Mediterranean, trawler fleets, and we fish for prawns, red prawn, which is now eaten right across Europe. We also represent peaceful coexistence and integration. Integration requires work, and the fact is that on fishing boats in Mazara, integration has always taken place. I mean, you're talking about fishing trips that last 6 or 8 weeks, and you're talking about multilingual crews who have with at least 3 religions, and these people live together for a period of time which really would test the most solid marriages. So you can imagine how difficult it is for these people to get on, and obviously they then integrate. Mazara has a natural vocation to act as a link between the areas on the other side of the Mediterranean and Europe. So we are a reference point in terms of the values that NECA is currently espousing. Now in my town we're making a major political effort to try and ensure that EU policies are seen in an appropriate manner, because there are various people who see things differently, and that's why in May we had an important delegation which came to visit us from the Parliamentary Committee on Fishing, and they were looking at the future of fishing in our town. And we said to them that EU policies as a whole, I'll get to NECA in a minute, Mario, don't worry, but EU policies as a whole have to be shared. There needs to be participation from all those involved, including local communities. They have to take account of the impact that they have on communities. But this effort can't be delegated to the European Commission or to the Parliament. It's an effort that we, on the ground, as local representatives, citizens on the periphery of Europe, need to establish. That's the only way that this can work. So we need to ensure a change in mentality among our business community. Now our fishing industry creates thousands of jobs, and our turnover is around 200 million euros. And it's important to get this industry involved in looking at the future of fishing, because as I always say, if we stop fishing, if we stop working in the Mediterranean, what will our identity be? What will become of us? And there's no real answer to that conundrum. When a local area loses its identity, well, that's when problems start. So that's the challenge that we have to tackle. We have to remain a town which looks to the sea and is a fishing town. Now, all of this is put to the test because of the energy and digital transitions, and this is particularly significant in the Mediterranean because it is linked to European strategies. We are working very hard to try and establish a reputation here, because as I say to my ship owners and my fishermen, if we don't have a good reputation, who's going to listen to what we have to say? So we have directors who are working on the future of fishing, and there's one in particular who's working with NECA on the future of the engines of our fishing fleet, and the idea is to upgrade the engines of our fishing fleet so they pollute less, and also so that we consume less fuel, and that can help our businesses too. They can save between 10 and 15% of their expenditure, which is a large amount. So we're looking to an increasingly difficult future with hope. We're also ensuring that the fishing sector, which is going to struggle when it comes to future tenders and funding rounds provided by central government, and we're trying to ensure that they gather and reuse nets that used to be dumped at sea. We're trying to ensure that they reuse discards as well, so that we can move towards a more circular economy. And there's a major project that we have on plastic waste as well. Just recently, fishing plastic out of the sea was something that fishermen did on a daily basis, but it was seen as an offence. They weren't allowed to do it, and so fishermen simply chucked it back to sea, because they weren't allowed to bring it back to port. Now, however, or in the future at least, things might well change, but at the moment fishermen are chucking plastic back in the sea when it gets caught in their nets because there's far too much of it and they simply won't have room for the fish that they catch. So we're working on a project to set up on our fishing vessels equipment that can shred plastic that's picked up at sea and then bring it back in large quantities to port and then reuse it via a system which doesn't need major technology, so that then it can be reused, for example, as energy in the port. And we're doing all of this because we firmly believe that delegating tasks to others and then complaining that rules, initiatives and actions aren't properly adapted to what we want is something that doesn't work. We want to become, in our own small way, proactive in the process that NECA has launched. And I think that'll help us all to look after RC. So we're going to do our minor part, but I think the symbolic nature of our town, Mazara del Valle, our fishermen and our citizens, and also the symbolic value, of our location is important. And I think given all of that, we have a major role to play. We in Mazara are following very carefully what the Commission is doing, and we feel represented by the philosophy which is at the basis of Mission Ocean. We look forward to working together with all stakeholders to look after the Mediterranean Sea, and we're ready to put every effort and all our experience and all the projects that I've just presented into this. And we'll be able to do all of that thanks to the plan that we've drawn up and are now involved in implementing. To conclude, let me say that I think this is the right place to announce a commitment that Mazara del Vallo has taken on. We are going to become part of the Mission Charter, which we've been following very carefully. And this is something, obviously, that will soon be presented in Lisbon, and we will be part of that. Let me once again thank Mario Dogliani for the invitation and all the organisers of this wonderful event. We're here to say that we're a small town, but we want to be part of this. We have an important role to play, and we want to be involved in this important process. I think there is best practice that would suggest that all of us, our small communities, need to be involved in keeping the Mediterranean clean, and we want to be involved in that best practice. Thank you.